Wow. I'd announced this morning that I was suing Will for $200 million because that video is going to be there forever. I don't have anything against Will Smith. He's done great things. You know, that insult is going to last a very long time.
A $200 million lawsuit that never happened, and two comedians who've said more about Hollywood's double standards than any manifesto ever could. What you're witnessing isn't just about a slap that echoed around the world. It's about who gets to speak, who gets punished, and which sins get buried under applause, while others get broadcast on loop for eternity. Jim Carrey and Chris Rock didn't team up in the traditional sense, but their words, their histories, their contradictions paint a picture of an industry that protects some and destroys others based on rules no one's written down. Before we go further, when someone calls out violence but has their own history of crossing lines, does that make their point invalid, or does it expose something darker about how Hollywood decides who's redeemable? Comment below. March 27th, 2022. The Dolby Theatre, Los Angeles. Chris Rock walks on stage to present Best Documentary, makes a joke about Jada Pinkett Smith's shaved head, compares her to G.I. Jane. Jada rolls her eyes. Will Smith laughs. Then, something shifts. Smith's face changes. He stands, walks onto that stage, and delivers a slap heard in 190 countries. The sound echoes. Rock stumbles, catches himself, says, "Wow." Smith returns to his seat, shouts at Rock to keep his wife's name out of his mouth. The profanity is clear, the rage is palpable, and millions watch in real time as one of Hollywood's most beloved figures commits assault on live television. 45 minutes later, Smith wins Best Actor for King Richard, gets a standing ovation, gives a tearful speech about protecting family, about being called to love people, talks about God, about defending the ones you care about.
And the Oscar goes to
Will Smith! Richard Williams was a fierce defender of his family. Denzel said to me a few minutes ago, he said, at your highest moment, be careful, that's when the devil comes for you. I want to apologize to the Academy. I want to apologize to all my fellow nominees. Thank you. Hope the Academy invites me back.
He apologizes to the Academy, to his fellow nominees, but not to Chris Rock. The next morning, the internet is on fire. Twitter divides into camps. Some defend Smith, call it chivalry, say Rock had it coming for mocking a woman's medical condition. Others call it assault, point out that alopecia isn't life-threatening, that jokes, however tasteless, don't justify violence. And then Jim Carrey steps into the conversation. CBS Mornings, March 29th. Gayle King sits across from Jim Carrey, who's there to promote Sonic the Hedgehog 2. She asks about the slap. Carrey doesn't hold back, says he was sickened, not by the slap itself, though that was bad, but by the standing ovation.
I was sickened. I was sickened by the standing ovation. I felt like Hollywood is just spineless, en masse. It really felt like, oh, this is a really clear indication that we're not the cool club anymore.
There's some question today about if anyone else had walked from the audience and done that, they would have been escorted out by security or maybe even arrested. They asked Chris, do you want to file charges? And Chris apparently said no, he did not.
He doesn't want the hassle. I'd announced this morning that I was suing Will for $200 million because that video is going to be there forever. I want to yell from the audience and disapprove or show a disapproval or say something on Twitter or whatever. You do not have the right to walk on stage and smack somebody in the face because they said words.
By Hollywood giving Smith a hero send-off moments after he committed battery on stage, the interview clips spread. Carrey becomes a voice for those who saw the slap as indefensible, a comedian defending another comedian, a man calling out violence and Hollywood's complicity in celebrating it. And then the internet did what the internet does. It dug into Jim Carrey's past. If you're seeing the contradictions already, hit that like button and subscribe, because what comes next reveals just how selective Hollywood's memory really is. And you won't want to miss how deep this hypocrisy goes. June 1997, MTV Movie Awards. Jim Carrey wins Best Comedic Performance for The Cable Guy. Alicia Silverstone, then 20 years old, presents the award. Carrey walks on stage. The audience cheers. He's at the peak of his career. The Mask, Ace Ventura, Dumb and Dumber, Liar Liar. He's untouchable. America's rubber-faced goofball. The man who makes everyone laugh. He approaches the podium. Silverstone smiles, hands him the golden popcorn trophy, and then Carrey grabs her face with both hands, pulls her in, kisses her on the mouth. Silverstone's eyes widen. She pushes him away, looks uncomfortable, steps back. The audience laughs, applauds. Carrey burps into the microphone, quotes "bad to the bone," gets more cheers. Backstage, according to reports from the time, Carrey apologized to a humiliated Silverstone. But the moment passed. No consequences, no think pieces, no calls for his arrest. The video existed on MTV's archive, occasionally resurfaced in Funniest MTV Moments compilations, got filed under Wild 90s award show antics. Until March 2022, when Jim Carrey called Will Smith's slap disgusting. Twitter erupted. The 1997 MTV clip went viral, millions of views in hours. Comments poured in. Jim Carrey sexually assaulted Alicia Silverstone on national television, and it had literally no impact on his career. Jim Carrey is bold. Didn't he kiss Alicia Silverstone on stage without consent, and she said she felt humiliated? Imagine being Jim Carrey, sickened by a slap, while also being the same Jim Carrey who forcefully kissed Alicia Silverstone. The word hypocrite trended alongside Carey's name. People dug deeper, found another clip from that same awards show, Carey attempting to kiss Will Smith himself as Smith walked to the stage for Best Kiss. Smith grabs Carey by the neck, stops him. The moment lasts seconds, gets played for laughs. But in 2022, it reads differently. Will Smith physically stopping Jim Carrey from kissing him without consent at an award show, 25 years before Smith would slap Chris Rock at an award show. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Chris Rock, meanwhile, stayed silent. For months after the slap, Rock didn't address it publicly, cancelled appearances, kept his head down. His ticket sales skyrocketed. Comedy clubs sold out instantly. Everyone wanted to see what he'd say, if he'd say anything. 3 days after the Oscars, Rock appeared in Boston, told the crowd he was still processing what happened, said at some point he'd talk about it, that it would be serious and funny. Then he went back on tour, workshopped material, tested jokes in small rooms across America, and almost exactly 1 year later, Netflix gave him a platform. March 4th, 2023, Chris Rock, Selective Outrage, Netflix's first ever live global comedy special. Rock spends most of the hour on other topics: woke culture, cancel culture, selective outrage, the title itself. He talks about Michael Jackson versus R. Kelly. Same crimes, one has better songs. He's building to something. The audience knows it. The world knows it. Final 10 minutes, Rock changes tone.
Y'all know what happened to me, getting smacked by Suge Smith. He know he could beat. That is some ass. Years ago, his wife said I should quit the Oscars. I shouldn't host because her man didn't get nominated. So then I do some jokes about it. Who gives a? That's how it is. She started, I finished. That's what the happened. Nobody's picking on this bitch. She started this. Nobody was picking on her. For people that don't know, what everybody knows, Will Smith and his wife was her son's friend. Now, I normally would not talk about this, but for some reason, these just put that on the internet. I have no idea why two talented people would do something that low down. What the We all been cheated on. Everybody in here has been cheated on. None of us have ever been interviewed by the person that cheated on us on television. None of us. They're like, hey, I was sucking somebody else's. How did that make you feel? Everybody in the world called him a bitch. Everybody called that man a bitch. Charlemagne called him a bitch. The Breakfast Club called him a bitch. The View and The Talk and every rapper, Drink Champs called him a fucking bitch. Everybody called him a bitch. Everybody called him a bitch. Everybody. And who's he hit? Me. I know you can't tell on camera. Will Smith is significantly bigger than me. We are not the same size. Will Smith does movies with his shirt off. You've never seen me do a movie with my shirt off. If I'm in a movie getting open heart surgery, I got on a sweater. Will Smith played Muhammad Ali in a movie. You think I auditioned for that part? People like, did it hurt? It still hurts. But I'm not a victim, baby. You will never see me on Oprah or Gayle crying. I have rooted for Will Smith my whole life. And now, I watch Emancipation just to see him get whooped. got me rooting for massa, okay? And a lot of people go, Chris, how come you didn't do nothing bad? Because I got parents. That's why. Because I was raised. Okay? And you know what my parents taught me? Don't fight in front of white people.
Then he gets to the heart of it. Will Smith practices selective outrage. Everybody who really knows I had nothing to do with that. I didn't have any entanglements. The audience understands the reference immediately. Jada Pinkett Smith's Red Table Talk confession, her affair with August Alsina, the marriage problems broadcast for the world. Rock's point is clear. Everyone called Will Smith names over his marriage, but Smith took it out on Rock, a physically smaller man who made a bald joke. She hurt him way more than he hurt me, Rock says. He ends with the question everyone's been asking. Why didn't you fight back? Because I got parents, Rock explains. I was raised. And you know what my parents taught me? Don't fight in front of white people. The line lands. Some laugh, some wince. It's uncomfortable truth wrapped in comedy. Rock isn't saying he was scared. He's saying the optics of two black men fighting on that stage, in that room, would have confirmed every racist stereotype Hollywood pretends it's moved past. Click that like button right now, because what we're about to unpack next shows how every single person in this story has been both victim and perpetrator, and Hollywood's selective memory decides who gets forgiven. Fast forward to 2025, Will Smith releases his first album in 20 years, based on a true story. Opens with a track called Interior Barbershop Day. Voices talk about Smith in harsh terms. Who does Will Smith think he is? I ain't never gonna forgive him for that he did. Then the lyrics address the Oscar directly. I heard he won the Oscar, but he had to give it back. And you know they only made him do that because he's black. Smith didn't have to return his Oscar. But the line reflects a sentiment that's been simmering, that black men in Hollywood face harsher consequences, that the Academy banned Smith for 10 years while others with worse accusations faced nothing. The song even turns his taunt to Rock into a lyric. Him and Jada both crazy girl, what you talking about? You better keep his wife's name out of your mouth. Meanwhile, Smith's career struggles. Bad Boys Ride or Die does well, over $400 million worldwide. But outside that franchise, doors stay closed. Directors don't return calls. A-list talent doesn't want to work with him. Sources claim there's a black cloud hanging over Smith, that name talent wants nothing to do with him after what he did to Chris Rock. Jim Carrey, by contrast, announced his retirement shortly after the Alicia Silverstone clip resurfaced. I have enough. I've done enough. I am enough, he told Access Hollywood. Said he wants to focus on painting and his spiritual life. The timing suggested he saw the writing on the wall, that his past was catching up, but no arrests, no lawsuits, no 10-year bans. Chris Rock, asked in March 2025 about hosting the Oscars again, says, "You never know." Talks about forgiveness, about how the most miserable people on earth can't forgive. I live in forgiveness, Rock tells E! News. True love starts at forgiveness. He's moved on publicly, but the scars remain, and his comedy carries the weight of that night. The parallels are impossible to ignore. 3 men, 3 moments of boundary crossing. Will Smith slaps Chris Rock. Gets banned from the Oscars for a decade. Career suffers. Projects dry up. Jim Carrey kisses Alicia Silverstone without consent. Career untouched. Goes on to make hundreds of millions more. Eventually retires on his own terms. And Chris Rock? The victim who didn't press charges, who took the high road, who turned his pain into a $40 million Netflix special. Gets asked if he'll return to host the Oscars. Gets praised for his grace. But also gets dragged into conversations about whether he should have hit back, whether his joke was out of line, whether he knew about Jada's alopecia. The victim somehow still having to defend himself. The double standard isn't subtle. It's generational. It's racial. It's about who Hollywood decides deserves redemption. Carey kissed a 20-year-old on stage without consent. The audience laughed. He apologized backstage. Life continued. Smith slapped a man who made a joke about his wife. The Academy convened, issued bans. Smith's career stalled. Some will argue the times have changed, that 1997 was different, that consent culture wasn't part of the conversation, that MTV Awards were supposed to be edgy and unpredictable. But that argument falls apart when you realise Carey felt empowered to comment on Smith's actions, to say Smith should have been arrested, to claim he'd sue for $200 million. If times have changed, they've changed selectively. If you haven't subscribed yet, you're about to miss how this connects to a larger pattern of protection and punishment in Hollywood. The Academy's decision to ban Smith for 10 years sent a message. Physical violence on stage will not be tolerated. It's a clear line, understandable, defensible. But the same Academy that banned Smith gave Roman Polanski a standing ovation when he won Best Director in 2002. Polanski, a fugitive, convicted of unlawful sexual intercourse with a 13-year-old girl, fled the country before sentencing in 1978, never returned. Hollywood gave him an Oscar, gave him applause, separated the art from the artist. The same Academy that banned Smith hasn't banned Harvey Weinstein's films from consideration, hasn't retroactively stripped awards from men accused of far worse than a slap. The same Academy that investigated Smith for weeks took decades to address systemic sexual abuse by producers, directors, actors. Hollywood protects some people. It buries their sins under laughter, under time, under "that's just how it was back then." And it crucifies others, makes examples of them, bans them for a decade, destroys their careers, turns them into cautionary tales. The decision of who gets which treatment isn't random. It's about power, about who can afford to disappear and who needs Hollywood more than Hollywood needs them. Jim Carrey could retire. He'd made his money, built his legacy. Will Smith couldn't. He's still fighting to rebuild, still releasing albums with lyrics defending himself, still appearing in Saudi Arabia because American opportunities have dried up. And Chris Rock? He turned his trauma into profit. A $40 million special, sold-out tours. But he also had to relive the worst moment of his professional life for public consumption. Had to make jokes about being hit. Had to answer questions about forgiveness. Had to decide if he'll ever host the Oscars again, knowing that stage holds the memory of violence against him. The story doesn't end. Smith's ban lasts until 2032. Rock continues touring. Carey paints in his home, removed from the industry he once dominated. And the clips remain. Smith's slap, Carey's kiss, Rock's jokes, all permanent, all judged differently by an audience with selective attention. The lesson isn't about who's right or wrong. Everyone involved crossed lines. Everyone involved faced consequences, or didn't. The lesson is about who gets to decide what counts as unforgivable, and why those decisions often have less to do with the act itself and more to do with who committed it, when, where, and whether the industry needs them enough to forgive. That $200 million lawsuit Carrey said he'd file, it never happened. Rock never sued, chose forgiveness instead, chose to move forward. But the threat of it, the hypothetical, became part of the narrative, proof that Rock could have destroyed Smith financially, that he chose mercy. Meanwhile, Alicia Silverstone never sued Jim Carrey, never had the platform to make that threat, was 20 years old, presenting an award when a 35-year-old man decided her consent didn't matter. And 25 years later, when the clip resurfaced, the conversation focused on Carrey's hypocrisy, not on Silverstone's experience. That tells you everything you need to know about who this industry protects. The video breaking down the next layer of this is already up. It covers who else in Hollywood got away with worse while Smith serves his ban. The names will shock you. The patterns will make you question everything you thought you knew about accountability. Don't wait. Watch it now.